Hi everyone. So this is the last part of chapter 1. In this we will see what was the impact of British rule on our India. This we will analyze under various heads. First is how was the agriculture sector? What was the condition of industrial sector? How was our foreign trade, that is import and export? What were our demographic conditions? What do we mean by demographic condition? This I will explain when we will be seeing this particular topic. What was the occupational structure of the people? And lastly, we will see what was the infrastructure. How was the infrastructure facility in India? So let's get started with agriculture sector. So back then, around 85% of the population that used to live in villages, they derived their livelihood or earnings from agriculture. Despite this, despite such a huge amount of population was employed in agriculture, there was low productivity. Now, what do we mean by low productivity? So, for example, this is 1 acre of land. In this, a farmer plans to harvest cotton. Okay, so ideally, the ideal should be like if he invest his time, money, and efforts on this land, he should get around. This is a hypothetical example. Say 500 kgs of cotton as a goods. Finally, he gets from 1 acre of land this. But low productivity means like after employing everything on this land or deploying everything on this land of 1 acre, the farmer is only getting around, say, let's say 200 kgs of cotton. So land is not producing as much as the land could or land can. So this is what we call as low productivity. I hope this is clear. So despite this, there was low productivity. So why was the low productivity? Firstly, because of the policies of British government. The two major portion of this was zamindari system and revenue settlement system. These two were introduced by the British government. This impacted our agriculture sector very much. So what is zamindari system and what is revenue settlement system? This I have explained in the basic concept video. If you have not seen that, please go and please go and see that. After that, there was no investment in technology. Britishers was not interested in India's growth. They were only interested in extracting the money and taking back to their home. So they were not investing in technology. There was lack of irrigation facility and there was very less use of fertilizers. Fertilizers were not used. So these were the major reasons why there was very low productivity in agriculture sector. So what this all this led to? This all led to commercialization of agriculture. Now let me explain what do we mean by commercialization of agriculture. For example, this is Mr. A. Mr. A is having 1 acre of land. Okay, and this is Britishers. Okay, let's say Mr. X. Britishers, the person who is representing British government. So what British government says to Mr. A that if you grow cotton on your land, I will purchase cotton at the rate, for example, 300 rupees per kg. This is a hypothetical example. Okay, so Britishers say this, but in case you grow rice, wheat, I will not purchase this. So what Mr. A will think that what I should do, I should produce cotton on my land because I am getting a ready seller for this. If I will grow wheat, rice, or the crops that we use for our day-to-day consumptions, I am not getting good price in the market. So a farmer will shift towards cotton. Why Britishers were occupying or why Britishers were procuring cotton so much? This we will see when we will see industrialization under industrialization head. Okay, so I hope this is clear. So this led to commercialization of agriculture. Cotton is a commercial crop. This we don't consume. This is not our food crop. So this is commercial crop, right? So this led to commercialization of agriculture, which in turn benefited only Britishers. Not in no Indian were benefited in this. Only Britishers were benefited from this commercial crop. Okay, So I hope the agriculture condition of our country during the time of British rule are clear. 85% of the population that was living in village was employed in agriculture. Despite this, there was low productivity. I hope what is low productivity is clear to you. What do we mean by low productivity? Why there was low productivity? This was because of the British government policies, and this all led to commercialization of agriculture. People shifted from food crops to commercial crops. Okay, after this we will see what was the impact of British government rule on India in industrial sector, how our industrial sector was impacted. So since ancient time our industries were very good in handicraft, right? Our handicraft industry were very good. For example, our muslin cloth was very famous. This was known as the royal cloth, that only royal people wear this kind of cloth. So this this handicraft industry declined, and why this declined and how this declined. So let's see, like, what Britishers did over there. I explained you the commercialization of agriculture. So as this is 1 acre of land, I told you Britishers asked to grow cotton and they purchased cotton. Okay, now what Britishers did? They purchased this cotton, they send it back to their country Europe in factories of Europe. In the European factories, this cotton entered as a raw material and finished good of, for example, shirt. They manufacture shirt. Okay, and this shirt, this is the finished good. I'm writing as FG. ब्रिटेन में ये मैन्युफैक्चर हुआ शर्ट, इंडिया से रॉ मटेरियल गया कॉटन, ब्रिटेन की फैक्ट्री में गुड्स मैन्युफैक्चर हुए, जो बना शर्ट, फिनिश गुड आया, फिनिश गुड ये लोग वापस इंडिया में ले आए, एंड ये वापस इन लोगों ने इंडियंस को ही सेल करा क्योंकि इंडिया में बहुत ज्यादा पॉपुलेशन थी. ओके, सो व्हाट वाज द कंडीशन? दे वर प्रोक्योरिंग रॉ मटेरियल फ्रॉम इंडिया, then they were taking that back to their hometown, that is Britain, and there they were manufacturing that, converting it into finished good, then bringing back the finished good again back to India and selling it. So यहाँ ये लोग विन विन सिचुएशन में थे ब्रिटिशर्स, क्योंकि कॉटन भी ये लोग लो प्राइस में प्रोक्योर कर ले रहे थे हमसे, एंड देन आफ्टरवर्ड्स ये लोग यहाँ पे जो फिनिश गुड्स लेके आ रहे थे, इन आर एग्जाम्पल शर्ट्स, ये लोग यहाँ हाई प्राइस पे शर्ट सेल कर रहे थे. तो हमारे जो हैंडीक्राफ्ट इंडस्ट्रीज थी, जो वो सारी डिक्लाइन हो गई. तो वहां जो लोग काम करते थे, द पीपल दैट वर एम्प्लॉयड ओवर देयर, वो लोग अनएम्प्लॉयड हो गए. एंड डिमांड इन इंडियन कंज्यूमर मार्केट, बिकॉज वही हमारी हैंडीक्राफ्ट इंडस्ट्री डिक्लाइन हो गई, पीपल विल बी रिक्वायरिंग क्लोथ टू वेयर, सो दे हैड अ डिमांड, एंड दिस डिमांड वाज फुलफिल्ड बाय ब्रिटिशर्स फ्रॉम देयर ब्रिटिश इंडस्ट्रीज. सो दिस लेड टू इंडस्ट्रियल रेवोल्यूशन इन ब्रिटेन. एंड हमारी कंट्री इंडिया में क्या हुआ था? दिस लेड टू डी इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन. इंडिया में इंडस्ट्रीज खत्म हो गई. So it was twofold that I explained. It reduced India to exporter of raw material. What is export and import? This I have also explained in the basic concept video. इंडिया के बाहर हम एक्सपोर्ट करते थे तो रॉ मटेरियल एक्सपोर्ट होता था और फिनिश गुड्स प्राइस बढ़ के हमारे इंडिया में वापस आ जाते थे. तो हम ब्रिटिशर्स को दोनों सिचुएशन में फायदा था और हम दोनों सिचुएशन में हम लॉस पे थे. ओके, आफ्टर दैट ड्यूरिंग सेकेंड हाफ ऑफ द 19th century कुछ इंडिया में इंडस्ट्रीज आई, but that too at a very slow rate. There were few capital good industry, and what is capital good? This is also explained in the basic concept video. They had a very little contribution to GDP and very less public sector company. Okay, initially कौन सी companies आई थी? That was cotton and jute. Cotton in Maharashtra and Gujarat, and jute in Bengal. That was a foreign company. Cotton was an Indian company. First company was Tisco, iron and steel company. This is a company of Tata. आप नाम अभी भी we hear this name. So this iron and steel company, this started in 1907. Okay, so I hope the industrial sector is clear. Now we will see what was the condition of foreign trade. In ancient time, India had a great foreign trade. Now here, what do I mean by the term foreign trade? Foreign trade means import and export of goods. Okay, like, just give me a minute. Yeah. This is industrial. Now this is foreign trade. So foreign trade means import and export from India. Like this is our India. The goods that we send out, that goods are known as export. Goods that come to India, that is known as import. अगर हम कुछ सामान बाहर से खरीदते हैं तो हम उसके बदले में क्या देते होंगे? पैसा बाहर भेजते होंगे. अगर हम कुछ सामान बाहर सेल करते हैं तो उसके बदले में हमारी कंट्री के अंदर क्या आता होगा? पैसा आता होगा. तो हमारे लिए बेनिफिशियल ज्यादा क्या है कि हम एक्सपोर्ट करें, क्योंकि बाहर के देशों का पैसा भी फिर हमारी कंट्री में आएगा, राइट? इसी से कॉन्सेप्ट आता है आगे जाके बैलेंस ऑफ पेमेंट एंड एवरीथिंग, दैट वी विल बी सीइंग इन नेक्स्ट वीडियोस. सो एंशियंट टाइम में इंडिया बहुत अच्छा फॉरेन ट्रेड था, क्योंकि हमारी हैंडीक्राफ्ट इंडस्ट्री बहुत अच्छी थी. जो हमारा मसलिन था वो इतना अच्छा था, उसे रॉयल क्लॉथ तो बोला ही जाता था. एंड जो मैच बॉक्स का एक डब्बा आता है ना, छोटा वाला जो मैच बॉक्स का डब्बा रहता है, उसमें आप 2 से 3 मीटर मसलिन को फोल्ड करके रख सकते थे. इतना सॉफ्ट कपड़ा था वो, और इतनी अच्छी क्वालिटी का होता था. सो ब्रिटिश मेड इंडिया एज एक्सपोर्टर ऑफ रॉ मटेरियल एंड इम्पोर्टर ऑफ फिनिश गुड, ये हमने ऊपर भी देखा. देन ब्रिटेन मेड मोनोपोली इन द एक्सपोर्ट एंड इम्पोर्ट ट्रेड. ये लोग किसी को भी इंडिया से ट्रेड नहीं करने देते थे, ये लोग खुद ही ट्रेड करते थे. और इससे क्या हुआ है, गुड एक्सपोर्ट सरप्लस बन गया. लेकिन ये इंडिया के किसी भी काम का नहीं था, क्योंकि ब्रिटिशर्स इससे अपने जो यहाँ पे लोग आए थे उनके ब्रिटिश ऑफिशियल्स, उनकी सैलरी, दे यूज्ड टू पे देयर सैलरीज एंड दे यूज्ड टू फाइनेंस देयर वॉर्स. And essential commodities like food grain and clothes, this become very scarce. Okay, now trade was allowed with China. Indians could trade with China, Sri Lanka and Iran only, that too in a very limited manner. Okay, so this was the condition of our foreign trade. Now what was the demographic condition? Demographic condition means the condition of the population or the percentage of the population living in any area. So for example, like we in every 10 year we conduct a census, right? That how much the population is, or that how much is the population of India, how many people are literate, how many people are illiterate. This is a data that helps government to frame policies accordingly. So our first British India census was done in 1881, which had various limitations obviously. Now, demographic transition. This is a term that is mentioned in your NCERT, so I have taken a graph to explain over here. Demographic transition is done in 5 phases, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. In this, in the first phase, the birth rate and the death rate, they are more or less the same, as you can see over here. So, total population is also the same. Okay. Now, in the second phase, the death rate decline. Now, why the death rate decline? Because medical facilities may have improved, people life expectancy have improved because of that, right? And the birth rate is the same only as first phase. So our population will increase because people are taking birth, but the death rate is declining. So gradually our population will increase. In the third phase also, death rate further decrease, birth rate also decreased, but the population will increase. This is because of the impact of our second phase. And fourth phase, this is our total population. Over here, it is the replica of fourth phase down here, right? First and fourth phase are replica over here, but the population is high over here. It will stable after some time. I hope demographic transition table is clear to you. Now, at that time, during British time, what was the data? Literacy level were less than 16%. Like out of 100, only 16 people were literate who you can read or write, of which female were only 7. Okay, infant mortality rate was 218 per thousand. Like if 1000 children take birth, 218 could not survive. Now it is 33 per thousand. See how much progress that we have made. Now if 1000 children take birth, 33 only could not survive, and back then it was 218 children could not survive. What was the life expectancy? What do we mean by life expectancy? it was 32 years. On an average, how much a person lived? So on an average, a person that is born used to die at the age of 32, but now it is 69, right? How much progress we have made, because after listening this only it feel weird that a person at 32 has attained his maximum age and the person can die now, or can die anytime now, because of the lack of medical facility or poor sanitation conditions or things like that. So our country has made a huge progress in this. Public health facility was very poor or it was not adequate. This led to life loss, water and airborne diseases, etc. Okay. Now, what was the occupational structure? Like people that are working people across different sector and industries. We saw above in the agriculture sector that major chunk of the population was employed in agriculture. After that came the service sector, and the last was manufacturing sector. So, was this the case for all over India? The answer is no. There were regional disparity. Now, what do we mean by regional disparity? Like, for example, if this is Madras presidency, and this is Odisha, Punjab, and Rajasthan. So, according to this data, if we take a batch of 100 people, so in Madras presidency also 70 out of 70 from 100 should be in agriculture, roughly 15 should be in service sector, and roughly 10 should be in manufacturing sector for both Madras presidency and Odisha, Punjab or Rajasthan region. But that was not the case. In Odisha, Punjab and Rajasthan region, the more chunk of population, for example, say out of 70, this 70 should have rose to around 80 to 90 in Odisha, Punjab and Rajasthan, because major chunk of the population was employed in agriculture sector. In Madras presidency, that is present Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Kerala and Karnataka region, and Bombay and Bengal region, in these two areas, the agriculture sector did not employ that much amount of people that a service and manufacturing sector was growing in this area. Okay, so this was the condition of people's occupation. Lastly is the infrastructure. So Britishers, people say that railways are the major gift from Britishers to India. Is that true? The answer is yes. Railway, port, water transport, post, telegraph, they were developed by Britishers, but this they did not develop for the benefit of our Indians. This they developed for their own benefit. Roads and ports were developed so they can transport their raw material and finished goods easily. Post and telegram were developed because if there, for example, if there is a war going on in Bombay presidency, if we say Anglo-Maratha war, so a person of Kolkata presidency should also be knowing that a war is going on over here, so they can send the army, right? So for this, a communication system should be very strong. Because of this, they developed post telegraph and transportation system for their own benefit. But yeah, after they left India, these all things they leave it over here, so it was good for us in a way. So railway was developed in 1850. Most important contribution by the Britishers. It effected in two way. It enabled long distance travel, broke geographical and cultural barrier, and commercialization of Indian agriculture. Like agriculture produced from one place can easily be moved to agriculture to other place, right? So this was possible because we had a good railway network, and export increased because of this good transportation, but there was no benefit to Indians. Okay, now solutions for the impact of British rule. So now what we have seen over here in this our whole chapter is like how was the condition of India on the day of our independence. Now let imagine yourself as a you are standing over here, you are a person responsible for making policies for India's growth. Okay, you are standing over here on the day of Independence Day, right? So you are the person who is responsible for making policies for India's growth. So, firstly, what we saw that we will see the past, how our policies were made in the past, and what was the impact, and how is the economy right now. Right now, we have to frame the policies. So, for agriculture sector, traditionally or technically, what problems we saw? For agriculture sector, we saw there was no productivity and there was no investment in irrigation facilities, and there was no finance to the farmers, right? In over here above we saw this. In the agriculture sector, there was no investment in the technology, there was lack of irrigation facility and less use of fertilizer. So as a person who is framing policies, what you will say, that we will keep a overall part of budget for agriculture that will focus on investment in technologies, that will focus on irrigation facilities, and we will provide subsidized or free fertilizers to the farmer, right? So this policies you will make for agriculture sector. Now if you will see the policies back then, or now you will see the policies that government is procuring goods at MSP, or government is giving subsidy to the fertilizers. So I hope the concept is clear that why government is doing so, because they want this sector to grow. वाई गवर्नमेंट वांट दिस सेक्टर टू ग्रो? बिकॉज अगर हम अच्छा प्रोड्यूस करेंगे तो हमारी कंट्री के अंदर जितनी भी फूड की रिक्वायरमेंट है वो हम खुद से फुलफिल कर पाएंगे, हमें किसी और कंट्री से खाना मंगाने की ज़रूरत नहीं पड़ेगी. सेकेंडली, हमारे अगर 85% ऑफ द पॉपुलेशन हमारी पूरी कंट्री की एग्रीकल्चर में एम्प्लॉयड है, तो उन लोगों के पास अच्छा लाइवलीहुड होना चाहिए, उनकी अर्निंग अच्छी होनी चाहिए ताकि उनकी लाइफ अच्छी रहे, राइट? अब इंडस्ट्रियल सेक्टर में क्या क्या चाहिए था हमको? मॉडर्नाइजेशन, कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग, डाइवर्सिफिकेशन, इंक्रीज पब्लिक इन्वेस्टमेंट. व्हाट डू वी मीन बाय इंक्रीज पब्लिक इन्वेस्टमेंट? इज इंक्रीज गवर्नमेंट सेक्टर का इन्वेस्टमेंट. बिकॉज किसी भी एक इंडिविजुअल के पास इतना पैसा नहीं होता है कि वो कोई एक बड़ी इंडस्ट्री सेटअप कर ले. हमको किसी ना किसी की मदद लगती है, तो मदद करने के लिए आगे कौन आता है? गवर्नमेंट थ्रू इट्स पॉलिसीज एंड फ्री लोन और इंटरेस्ट फ्री लोन्स, राइट? आफ्टर दिस वी विल सी हमारे को फॉरेन ट्रेड में क्या बेनिफिट चाहिए था. इट रिक्वायर्ड फॉरेन ट्रेड, हमको जो चेंजेस करने थे, जो पॉलिसीज बनानी थी, फॉरेन ट्रेड रिक्वायर्ड टू वर्क इन द बेनिफिट ऑफ इंडियंस. पहले ये ब्रिटिशर्स के बेनिफिट पे काम कर रहा था. नाउ वी नीड टू फ्रेम पॉलिसीज सच दैट द इंडियन पीपल आर बेनिफिटेड फ्रॉम द फॉरेन ट्रेड. अबाउट डेमोग्राफिक कंडीशंस, हमने देखा कि लाइफ एक्सपेक्टेंसी बहुत कम थी, इन्फेंट मोर्टालिटी रेट बहुत ज़्यादा था, लिटरेसी रेट कम था, तो हमको इसके अराउंड पॉलिसीज लानी है, राइट? अब कि हमारी जो गवर्नमेंट हॉस्पिटल्स हैं, जो हमारी फ्री हेल्थ केयर सर्विसेज हैं, वो सब इम्प्रूव हों और हर एक इंसान को हेल्थ केयर सर्विसेज मिले, राइट? हमारी मेडिकल फैसिलिटीज़ अच्छी हों. उसके बाद ऑक्यूपेशनल स्ट्रक्चर, मेजॉरिटी चंक कहाँ इन्वॉल्व था हमारा? एग्रीकल्चर में. तो हमको यहाँ पे डाइवर्सिफिकेशन चाहिए था कि मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेक्टर में भी लोग जाएं, सर्विस सेक्टर में भी लोग जाएं और एग्रीकल्चर में भी रहें, ताकि तीनों सेक्टर हमारे साथ में ग्रो करें, राइट? इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में अगेन, लाइक टू बिल्ड रोड, ब्रिजेस, everything we need investment, and the investment should be such that it should benefit common person. सिर्फ ब्रिटिशर्स को बेनिफिट, जैसे पिछली बार सिर्फ ब्रिटिशर्स को बेनिफिट हो रहा था, यहाँ पे क्योंकि हमारी एक वेलफेयर स्टेट है, तो हर एक इंसान को रोड का फायदा हो. जो भी रोड हमारे आसपास है उसमें कोई मना करता है किसी को कि आप नहीं जा सकते, ये नहीं जा सकते, ये कॉमन पर्सन के लिए है, राइट? सो ऐसे हम पॉलिसीज ड्राफ्ट करते. सो दैट दिस वाज द लास्ट पार्ट ऑफ आवर चैप्टर. So chapter 1 of class 11th is done. This PDF I will upload on my Telegram channel. Also, I will upload the NCERT's answers, suggested answers on my Telegram channel itself. So if you like the video, please hit a like button and subscribe to my channel and follow my Telegram channel. Thank you so much. We'll meet in the next video. New chapter, new concepts. Right? Thank you.